And that guy is a doctor? You'd think he'd at least give us some pills or medicine for the employees. All he says is send them home. Well, if that's the way to cut absenteeism, my name is Florence Nightingale.
This is Dr. Walter Bell, bringing you another transcribed chapter in the story of Empire County. This series is presented to you by the New York State Department of Health and produced by the State Radio Bureau. Today's story, Nothing to Sneeze At.
Come in.
You sent for me, Mr. Taylor? Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Yes, George, I did. Just want to know how production's coming along on that big government contract. We have to make delivery date, you know.
Well, to be honest, Mr. Taylor, we're running about 5 days late right now.
What? 5 days late? I don't believe it.
That's right, sir. Of course, we're doing everything we can.
Obviously, that's not enough. Unless that order gets out on time... What kind of a plant supervisor are you, anyway?
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor. I've been with you 18 years.
I know, George. I'm sorry, but I worked 14 months trying to get that order. And it was a big order to get for a plant with only 400 employees. But we got it because we guaranteed delivery on time or we'd pay a forfeit. And by jingo, we're going to make it on time.
Too bad the government won't guarantee the employees won't get sick.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, to start off with, when you brought the blueprints in, Ted McElroy was out with a cold. He sets up the production line. Even though his assistant did his best, we had to drag Ted out of a sick bed to get things started.
Well, he showed up as soon as you called him, didn't he?
Sure. But he could only stay part of the day. He had a pretty high fever. He left enough instructions, though, so we could get started.
Well, you didn't lose too much time then.
Half a day. But as soon as things were ready to roll, Bill Bahr in the supply department took sick, and he had to be sent home. I called him the next day to find out where the material is coming from. By the time I chased it down, that day was shot. So before we got started, we were a day and a half behind. Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Good grief. Why didn't somebody tell me about this? How long was Bill out?
Well, just that day, really. He knew how important this order was, and he came in, sneeze, fever, and all.
Good man. But where did we lose the other days and a half?
Colds, and more colds. One man out and then another. They weren't fooling either. They were sick. We've been running between 72 and 78% of capacity. You just can't get help and train them any faster than these men come back to their machines.
5 days behind schedule just because of lousy little colds. What are the men made of? Paper? Don't we heat the plant enough?
Well, I think the plant is warm enough. Excuse me.
God bless you. You too?
I'm
I
sorry.
know. I'm going to call my friend Dr. Bell. I'll have his department inoculate everybody in the whole place, from the office girls to the shop caretaker. And we'll start with you. Miss Todd, get me Dr. Walter Bell. He's the Commissioner of Health. There you are, George. They'll all be disgustingly healthy, even you.
I hope so. We could run an extra shift for a while and catch up those 5 days. I'll figure out exactly how many we'll need.
Attaboy, George. That stuff is going to go through on time, all right. Hello. Oh, is this Dr. Bell? Well, this is Frederick Taylor, Doctor. Yes, I met you at the rally for the hospital fund last week. That's right. Doctor, we have a little problem in our plant, and I was calling to ask if you could come over here and give me a little advice. Think of it, Dr. Bell. Right now, today, 40 of our people, 10% of our employees are out with colds. And this is a high attendance week. That's why I ask you here, Doctor, to take a look around the plant. Are we giving them enough heat? Should we serve a hot drink in the afternoon? No, I'm serious, Doctor. This order is the most important thing that's come along since my father started this plant. And if it means giving them coffee in the afternoon to keep them on their feet, by George, I'll make the coffee myself and serve it to them.
Mr. Taylor, could I go through the plan?
Why, of course. Right this way. And, George, you come along, too. Now, this particular building is only 8 years old.
Yeah.
We had it designed by Manley. And now we're back in my office. You've seen the place from top to bottom. Now then, what do you think, Dr. Bell?
Well, I'd like to congratulate you on your factory. It's one of the finest I've ever seen, and one of the cleanest. It's really a show place.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. We're quite proud of it ourselves.
Enough heat, Dr. Bell?
Yes, ample.
Enough light?
Yes, plenty.
Air?
Well ventilated.
Maybe drafts, Doctor.
No, it's remarkable. For a plant doing this type of work, there are no drafts to speak of.
Then why are our people laying down, Doctor? Today, 10% of them out with colds, sneezing their heads off. And that's not to be sneezed at.
You're quite right, Mr. Taylor.
Well, can't we just line them up and give them a shot, inoculate them?
It's not that easy, Mr. Taylor. There is no shot that will cover all the causes, but there may be another way of curbing the cold. Now, when did you first notice that
Well,
the...
it was shortly after Mr. Taylor got this big government contract. Our production man was away then with a cold, and he came in to help us get started.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in only about half a day.
And then what happened?
Well, our purchasing man was out with something a lot more serious than a cold. Poor Ted had quite a battle with pneumonia.
I see. Now, your production man and purchasing man came in contact during this time?
Oh, yes. We held quite a few production meetings in my office, about 8 of us.
8. How many of these 8 were subsequently out with a cold?
Yeah, that's right. 5 or 6. In fact, 2 of them are out right now.
How about you, George?
See for yourself.
Yes. Mr. Taylor, the common cold is caused by germs. See, it's contagious. It's passed from one person to another. Just by being near a person with a cold, you can catch it. And if you do catch it, you may pass it on to others, to members of your family or to business associates or... Well, you see, your resistance may be such that you can ward off the complications of a cold, but the person with whom you've been in contact may come down with a very severe cold.
Oh, I'm sunk. That cold germ is going to rattle around my shop until we pass our deadline.
No. Not necessarily so.
Well, what can we do?
Well, at the first sign of a cold, send the employee to your plant nurse, and if she thinks it's advisable, you should send that person home to bed.
Not a chance. If he can stand on his feet, he can run his machine.
That, Mr. Taylor, is precisely why you're in your present fix.
It is?
Yes.
Now, see here, Dr. Bell.
One man with one cold was brought in. He passed the germ to 8 other men, and they probably came in contact with some 400 employees. One man with one cold now exposed 400 people.
Say, George, maybe we started another plague by bringing Ted in.
Yes, in a small way you did. And if you can possibly help it, you shouldn't repeat the same mistake. You see, the common cold may be the symptom of something far more serious. And if you attend to it at the very beginning, you may be helping to prevent diseases like pneumonia, bronchitis, and a lot of others just as serious.
Sounds logical to me.
Dr. Bell.
Yes?
You don't know these people like we know them. Some of them will find excuses to get home now and then. Maybe wind up with a half-day holiday every week or two.
Well, perhaps I don't know these people as well as you do, but I do know this for a fact. Send them home at the very first sign of a cold, and they won't be around to spread it among the others.
Does it work?
Other firms have had the same trouble among their employees, you see. And they've cut their absenteeism in half by checking the spread of cold germs. Why don't you give it a try, Mr. Taylor? Test it on only, say, half your plant.
All right, Doctor. We'll try it out in a couple of departments and see the results. And I'll report to you as soon as we have something. If we have something to report.
Thanks, Dr. Bell.
Say, George, it might not be a bad idea for you to get a little rest.
Good day, Dr. Bell.
Good day.
And that guy is a doctor. You'd think he'd at least give us some pills or medicine for the employees. All he says is send them home. Well, if that's a way to cut absenteeism, my name is Florence Nightingale.
Now, look, Mr. Taylor. Why don't we try it out in a couple of departments? If it's been successful in other plants, it may work out here, too. Something has to be done, boss.
Oh, all right. I guess you're right, George. All right. Go ahead and set it up. Now, let's see. The best department.
This must have been some order. Stuff's been coming through here by the carload.
Yeah, I guess we...
Hey, wait a minute. You better go see the nurse. You know what George said?
No, I'll be okay by tomorrow.
Don't be silly. Go and see the nurse now.
Okay.
Come in. Yes? Oh, hello, Al.
I'm just following orders. I think I'm catching a cold.
Well, here, let's take a look at you. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Now, put this thermometer here in your mouth. There. Now, just nod your head. Feel a little warm?
Uh-huh.
Sneeze?
Yeah.
Well, did you feel this way when you came to work?
No.
No? Well, that's good. Now, let's take a look. Temperature is up a bit. Al, you should go home right now. Get to bed and stay in bed until the cold symptoms are gone. And if they develop any more, you call a doctor.
Okay, nurse. Like George says, you're the boss.
Come in.
You sent for me, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, George. Well, how are you feeling? I feel like Simon Legree keeping you on the job when you were so sick.
Well, it was my fault as much as yours. I wouldn't go home. I should have at first. Then I wouldn't have been out those 4 days. But I'm right up to par now.
Good, good. Well, how are the orders coming?
Pretty good. With luck, we'll have the goods ready in time.
You mean that now, don't you?
If our luck holds out, we'll be ready.
Good. Now, how's our cold experiment doing in finishing and packing?
I read the timesheets, added up the number of man hours. I don't believe them. We've cut out 40 to 45% of our absenteeism in those departments. I think that's remarkable, considering the bad start we had.
That's good, good. Remember, it's a rule now. At the first sign of sickness, and if the nurse suggests it, home they go.
Guess Dr. Bell will be glad to hear about the results of his experiment.
I guess he will. But? Yeah, he won't be half as glad as I am. I've learned my lesson. A sneeze, a cough, even a sniffle is definitely nothing to sneeze at.